Afternoon. Right, let's get back to this. Been doing a couple of things while I finished a call. So you can see I've added a reference AH6 pilot that I've converted from actually opened an RTM with the BI model, set it all in place, and then exported the RTM as FBX. So there we go. It's an idea of scale. It's not the definitive. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at whether or not there is a BI sample for the new model, so I'm assuming it's going to be roughly the same. Doesn't have to be exact at the moment. We're not dealing with that right now. So we've done that. We're playing with that. I also did a little bit more research while I was on this call. It turns out that the fasteners, which I really should know, are called DZUS. So we're in search of DZUS. So this wonderful document found on mycockpit.org explains everything you need to know about the fasteners and the pitch and whatever. So this gives us a key part to scale through, and it's intended for people that are making their own cockpits. So this is going to be a standard width, which is going to correspond to that dimension there. So we now have a key dimension as to what that should be, and that'll scale the rest of the document, rest of the panel. So what I've done before is going to get changed a bit. It shouldn't be a huge problem, but still, it's not a problem. No, it shouldn't be a problem for us to adapt. I also checked with a friend of mine that it's an instructor at Shawbury, and the centre of the pilot seat should be the centre of that ball, of that horizon ball. Same with the co-pilot seat, or pilot cup, or whatever. I forget which side is which these days. Fixed wing pilots, it's usually left hand side. Rotary wing, it's usually right hand side. So yeah, anyway, whatever, we're there. So given that information, and there's some more bits of this, it tells you how to make the panels and rounded and rebates and dimensions. We're going to frig that. We're not going to go completely insane anyway. So it's a standard component, so we can be confident that whatever we do next should be dimensionally correct. So let's just find where that. Alright, so these are the DZUS holes. I'm never going to get tired of saying that. I'm really not. I'm going to be cracking all sorts of in search of DZUS jokes for the next God knows how long with my friends, and they will be probably very angry with me. The other thing that I found in the course of my wanderings, have I put it somewhere else, or right, there we go. I found the exact CDU on eBay. So if you look at that picture and then look at that, it looks pretty damn close to me. So, yay! Going up. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Um, so quite happy. I've had some success. Yay me! Oh, it's pathetic, isn't it? Let's zoom out of that. This is going to come down as a WebP, and I don't like that. So I don't know whether Modo can actually cope with them. So let's just grab that. Save as. So now I have appropriate dimensions. So I'm going to probably need to do a bit of rescaling, but I want to make that CDU quite quickly. So where are we? I did look at stealing some bits from the Wildcat, and that I did actually pull some bits out just looking at the pilot. So that's a WebP. Don't think it is actually supported, but I'm going to grab the PNG just because I know it works and I can't be asked to start faffing around right now. So 2. Transparency, where have you gone? Okay. 0.5. Still smaller. Right, so we're probably going to get about 250. Just occurred to me, people may not know what Shawbury is. RAF Shawbury is the UK's helicopter training base. And one of my long-suffering friends happens to be an instructor there, so... all things helicopter, I tend to talk to him. Oh. So this is probably going to be more interesting than me faffing around and resizing anything anyway. Let's just go back to DZUS rail box. Let's grab one of those faces. Let's go into the spare lot. So what I'm going to do, because I now know that I'm on the right sort of scale for everything. Come on, move. Thank you. So what I want, there's a couple of ways I can do this. So we can make an entire box, which I think is probably we'll boolean the shit out of this. So this is at a slight angle. The perspective is slightly off, so we are going to end up frigging a few bits. This is a single face that I'm doing at the moment, so we're going to polygon inset. Doesn't matter how far we inset in because I'm going to scale it anyway. What we do is scale it to the outside of that edge, and we're going to bring that up here. We are just purely eyeballing this. It's not going to get any better than this, I'm afraid. I have made several of these CDUs in the past, but call it ignorance, call it whatever you want. I've never actually gone after the dimensions, and I don't know why I didn't. So, let's turn off our Arma pilot. Extrude. So we're going to go down. Actually, I'm going to do something different for a second. I am going to go geometry boolean. Sorry, not boolean. It's gone 2.5 million. Let's go right hand view. I'm going to drop that down by 5 mil. I just got overshot slightly at 5.6. Let's correct that. So let's grab these corners. Now these are tiny. From relatively what you're going to see when we do this, and we bevel this, it is going to be absolutely pointless doing anything more than one round. One edge round in it. So, see what I mean? So that's 2mm radius. So by the time that you're zoomed out looking at it, as long as it looks like it's slightly beveled or slightly rounded, it's fine. It's not going to be an issue. Again, this is a low poly, or relatively low poly. Because let's actually, there you go. Let's bring Steam up. Arma Reforger tools, thank you. Open Steam. So if I just open Reforger, because you don't need to see what else I'm working on. Not yet, anyway. So if you look at the UH1, so if I look at the cockpit bits, I think that's the panel bottom, panel main. Right. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot smoother. So if you look at the first lot, this is meshes, 4 meshes. So lots, there we go. So there are 17,882 faces in there, and a lot of that is actually very detailed, far more detailed than I would have thought was necessary. So I don't know if there's a way to show the wireframe or not. Shading, wireframe. There we go, that's better. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what's that? That's 18, so it's 36 round. So that's not bad. I wasn't planning on going much different than that. I would have gone 32 probably. But yeah, that kind of makes me confident in what I'm doing. I'm not seeing anything that's got an equivalent bevel, to be brutally honest. Also, it's interesting to see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 round on that. Again, these are low. This is low poly, so not hugely surprised by that, if I'm honest. So I'm still sticking with this. There's absolutely no point to doing any different, in my opinion. So let's go back to this. Let's grab that bottom edge and move this up. So, let's go back to the DZUS rail. Copy and paste that. Dope. Copy and paste again, just so that we're going up. So if I turn those off, you can see I've got those there. So you can see that the image is distorted. I've picked the rail points or the screw points that are just in the appropriate approximate position. So I'm going to increase that by 105%. Gonna drop those there. Let's go 105. I should say I'm doing this afternoon because I don't know that I'm going to make it to this evening. I've already been flagging. My iron count is low and a few other bits and pieces, so I've not actually been. I've been a very naughty boy and not been taking my my vitamins, so I need to start doing that a little bit more. But it's certainly starting to feel like I'm back on the. Oh, what did I do? I need that to be consistent. What did I scale that as? So that's scaled at 105 as well. Yeah, it's starting to feel like I am kind of. It does feel very much the same as when I was diagnosed last time. So absolutely drained. But last time it was a lot easier. because it was on Zaloda, which is a tablet-based chemo. So, oh, skipped into the wrong thing. That's the Wildcat panels, which we can close. I can reopen that if I need to later. I'll grab these. Let's turn off that background. Let's go right. Yeah, anyway, early indications is if they've caught it early again. I mean, it's no reason to believe they haven't caught it early again. I'm in a high-risk group because, well, there's a lot of things, reasons for it, but I used to work or albeit briefly, in the nuclear industry. I have worked in hot sites, etc. So it's not a huge surprise to me. I've also worked in composites and a lot of industries that use carcinogenic crap that at the time we didn't know were carcinogenic, or at least nobody told us they were carcinogenic. So there's a possibility that it's come from multiple different sources. And again, it's not an awful. I've looked into trying to sue somebody for it a while back, and there isn't really. I can't prove which one of the number of industries I work for are the ones that poisoned me. So it's not really anything I do about it. And my family history is such that we've both my parents have passed from cancer. So it's potentially, the argument is it's hereditary anyway. But it's interesting that it's all sorts of different cancers. None of it is as consistent. My mother was started out as breast cancer and metastasized into bone cancer. My father was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but he worked for a large part of his life. He worked at a steel forging company. It was Mitchell Shackleton's. It's United Forge now, I think, or still. It was bought out by United Forge years ago, and he was a draftsman designer, production designer, and he literally was like on the shop floor most of the time with steel cutting, and to talk to a number of people that used to work in that environment, a lot of the coolant and off-cut and whatever turned out to be carcinogenic as well. So they had a lot of interesting cancers. Quite a lot of people had non-Hodgkin's. But he also worked for the post office, doing all sorts of weird, wonderful stuff that we're not allowed to talk about or ask about. So I always found it kind of amusing that I was working on nuclear secrets or nuclear storage, and when I was in the military, I was responsible for. Well, we were trained to guard nuclear weapons, and then we're just going out of service when I joined anyway. At least the RAF airdropped ones were, and I will confess, because I think it doesn't matter anymore. There's probably a picture somewhere of me sat on a WE-177 gravity bomb, doing the slim pickings thing, yeehaw, in full combat gear. The weapon itself was actually in storage, so there was no warhead in it. The warhead package, or the physics package, was stored separately, and the casing was essentially just a large dumb bomb. And when they were decommissioned, all the casings were taken out and put into storage, and for a while at least we were guarding the stored weapons, which I always thought was a bit of a waste of our time, but who am I to argue? Anyway, they were moved elsewhere. It was only a temporary storage thing, so it was only for a few months. But I got a nice certificate that says I'm qualified to guard nuclear weapons, which was kind of amusing. So it's a great party, dit. There's a few good ones. CDU. So a couple of fantastic stories about going on dates with women and they go, "What do you do?" And in my 20s at the time, I was bloody stupid. Turned around and said, "Oh yeah, I guard nuclear weapons." I think the comment was, "I sit on nuclear weapons most of the day," which got some very bizarre looks. It's usually entertaining. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do, get rid of those. So I'm just going to go geometry, polygon merge. Let's go right. Really should learn to come out of UV mode. So we're just going to go polygon, extrude. It's 5mm thickness, so I've come down 6.75, so we'll just go back up to 5. Oh. Let's deselect these top edges. Let's get rid of those polygons, and we'll come back, grab those. Scale down. So I'm going to turn that down to just a bevel. And it's currently 800 micrometers. So 0.8 of a mil. So just go down to 500. So go to the front. Let's grab those tops. UV the tops. Thought we were going to the front. There we go. Let's go polygon. Yeah, I used to play soccer, indoor, five-a-side soccer, inside a warehouse full of nuclear bomb casings, which was kind of entertaining. But depleted uranium, so there's nothing. The casing around was either steel on some of the earlier ones and depleted uranium on the later ones. So supposedly safe. But when I went to work for BNFL many years later, I discovered that depleted doesn't necessarily mean in non-reactive. It just means below a certain threshold. So that was kind of entertaining. So go back to the top. So we're on fasteners. So I'm just going to rename that to DZUS. DZUS fastener. And let's put LP in front because it's low poly. I'm just going to make it a child of the CDU, so when I move the CDU, okay, there we go, right. I should be able to move everything in one hit then. Right, so on a high poly, I dig out all of this, and I'm not going to really do it. I don't see the point. So, but because I need to cut out all these and whatever. What I'm going to do, I think, is when we come to texture this, we could actually do a fairly decent high poly out of this fairly quickly, I guess. So that's 9 mil. That's 4 mil. And it's going to be 4 mil high, I guess. Just jumped out of the... Right. Let's just do a quick... There we go. 1 round bevel. Let's do that again. So this is going to be the trick, is getting this to all line up. So I'm just going to... I was about to copy and paste that, but I don't want to do that. What I want to do is grab that face, just do a very quick unwrap. So again, just to kind of show you what I'm doing. That's distorted out, that's distorted out. Let's grab those 2 edges, let's stitch onto those. So I can now just copy and paste that down. So I'm going to move these down 12.5 mil because I'm trying to account for the distortion. So that means when I copy and paste these in now, that's going to come down 25 mil. That one's going to be 12.5. It may not look right to the image. You can see there's a cumulative error there. But you got to remember that the image is also not flat, it's not square, it's all slightly skewed. So I'm not honestly too bothered. It's about them being consistent. I am going to move this down 0.5 mil. So all of these need moving down 0.5 mil. So what I'm thinking, I'm trying to stick, or I was trying to stick to 12.5. It's as close to 1/2 inch, or 12.7 is actually 1/2 inch, but all this is actually these are made in the era of imperial fasteners, and the DZUS rails seems to be following the US pattern of imperial fixings, which it was made. I don't know. It's in the document. I believe it's made by a German guy, but America being the biggest market, you conform to your biggest market. So these are more rounded, or are they? No, I'm going to leave it like that. So let's just grab this, just to explain what I'm doing. I've literally just copied and pasted and stretched that. So what I want to do is grab these two end pieces, unwrap again, because they've changed dimension. This is going to unwrap again, so let's grab that edge, stitch onto that. That top edge will not have changed. And there we go. So we now have, what was it? So 4, 8. So centers. You see it's not on center line. So that's 14.1. So I'm going to leave it at 14 mil. Let's copy, paste that. Let's take that top edge to move it to there. It's 14 mil. Okay. So that gives me regular spacing, but it's not centered. Again, remember the image is distorted. So it's nearly a mil off center line. So this is going to be the same going down, so we're going to want there's 4 rows. Copy, paste. So I am guessing that they're going to be roughly the same size. So let's move that down 14 mil. There we go, copy, paste. Again, doesn't match the picture, but that's fine. Because we now know it's regular. Right, so I'm tempted to bevel that, but I'm going to do that with an edge normal. So let's just move a few things around. So I'm going to grab these, just temporarily, lift them, and put them in the fastener rod for the moment. So, because all of these are individual buttons, they don't have anything common textured on them. I'm just going to go to pack. Normally I'd have lock stacked on, and stacked is when they're stacked on top of each other like that, and that would cause it to pack without them moving. But make sure it's off. It's going to direction vertical, so you can see each of those now could potentially be painted and they come out properly. I'd manually tweak all the UV, to be brutally honest, because as efficient as packing it sometimes is, CDU, it doesn't always do the world's greatest job. So we're going to DZUS fastener, grab our other faces back into CDU. Let's go back up here again, go back to pack, lock stacked. So you can see that button is now packed with the rest of it. It's orientated, and everything that's stacked on top of each other, because it's going to be identical, is in the same place. So what I would do when I come to actually export this to FBX and move it out to paint is I'd select everything there but one, and I would move it. Where's my tool gone? Right. So yeah, this has moved from dimensions to UV. So if I offset that by 1 UV, it's moved into that second UV. When I paint this, whatever I paint on here will also appear on the parts that are referenced off here, on this other UDIM. So let's just undo that. Right, so all this palaver is about getting these in the right place, or get in the right dimensions. So let's go 180. So these rail boxes. Oops. Should have checked that, but it's not hugely important. Right. So I am just going to cheekily grab that top face. And I can just turn these off then. So that becomes a ref layer. Ref obviously being reference. So we're back to getting the right size of the panel, so I can scale properly. So again, these are all these should all be the right size now. Somewhere, right. Don't know whether this is going to show it. See, that's a rail. So that's the aluminium backplate, right? It's all in the inch. Name for what I'm looking for is the thickness of this. I mean, the radius is there, 9.52, so it's got a 10 mil spacing. But if we go and look at our cockpit panels, that looks to be a 10 mil gap in between. So again, 3 panel widths with a 10 mil gap. Let's get rid of those for a second. It's probably easier to visualize with that. So that's 146.05. So I'm going to move it 156. So there's our 10 mil gap. Geometry, duplicate. Come on. Mirror. So there's our 3 panel width. So we can turn that off. Now that 3 panel width, according to our lovely picture that I've just cancelled, haven't I? Or did I? Where did I put it? Yeah. So there's our 3 panel width. Now this presents a bit of a problem. As I said, it should meet. So, hang on. So we're saying 10 mil off either side. So if I grab that, move it into there. That was 7 mil in the X, so I'm going to move this 10 mil back in the X. Let's turn that ref off. So that's 10 mil off that side. Did I kill that picture again? I bloody did, didn't I? Photos. Oh, oh, okay. I just keep opening it. Right. So, actually, that's literally bang on the edge there, isn't it? Bedrock. Right. So there's 146, 150. So there's 3. So there's going to say there's a 10 on the edge of that with the extra crap. So, are we to assume that that's on the center? I don't think that we actually can. If I grab that, move that there, so 111.25. So I can grab these again. Right. Let's go to the back view. So, again, looking at our trusty picture, we need to remake this panel, this front of this panel, which is not the end of the world, but it's scaling it right. So I'm going to say that without that fillet, that blend, that is going to be the edge of our panel. So let's go and grab working panels. There we go. So we do have a center mark here. So I want the cockpit frame there. Can turn off the in. See, that doesn't scale properly because I know that the cockpit panel is that wide. I mean, I can take going down to something like that. That makes sense. Which means either the Edward imagery is wrong, which again it could be. It's, you know, it's scaled off something else, or this we have to change some of this, which again, not overly stressed about. So that is 92.5 of what it was before. But again, I would really like a picture sat in the cockpit. So also, let's turn back on our pilot. I'm happy to move them in as well. So if I turn off working in, I'm guessing that their head should be in the center line of the cockpit anyway, of the cockpit window, because he wants a bloody pillar in the way. Right, so do we have a picture with the pilot sat in the front looking like an idiot? I was going to say that's someone's backside there, definitely. Which, given the Royal Navy, or given aircrew in my experience, is not impossible at the best of times. So yeah, there we go. Right. So the assumption is that the pilot is going to be slap bang in the middle of this window between these pillars. So let's grab that pilot. Let's grab that. That's going to need mirroring. Get rid of that actually. Geometry, duplicate, mirror. Ooh. And looking at the height of said pilot, so if you assume the top of his helmet is on that top line, that makes it a very tall pilot. So we're going to leave that there. Again, perspective. We're looking down. Yeah, I'm going to say that's about right. So, given that I now have a dimension, what I'm going to try and do, let's pick out the best. See, that is probably the better, because we can see our panels. I don't think, it could be, I think that is actually a British one. They used to have a tag on them, which was the airframe number, or the call sign number for that airframe. Right, so I'm going to grab a copy of that image. So that's 441. Because I don't like leaving stuff on my NAS, because I frequently change and move around my NAS and change the filing system on it. So I am just moving it and dropping it into the folder. So let's go to the back view again. CDU. So let's grab that image. CPIT panel. '85. Right, so you forgive me, I'm just going to turn my pilots off. Right, so copy, paste. I'm going to turn this 90 degrees in the... Oh, lovely, alright. There we go. So that gives us the dimensional width that we're aiming for. So I'm going to go to 1 mil probably. So again, we're dealing with perspective. So I'm going to try and use that back edge because it's the least skewed with perspective. So this is also the wrong way around. So there we go. So we aren't that far off. So 1.2, it's way too much. Right. So I've just rethought this because we're looking for a key dimension, and I've just realised I'm being stupid because what I need to do is we need to be matching that furthest point, not that closest point. Nearly, because you can see that's where we're aiming. Get in there, you little sod. Right, so let's assume that. So, dump. Right, come on, you little shit. Right. See, that is nowhere near on the center line. But like I said, we didn't think it was on the center line.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oh, I didn't say Alexa. Bloody thing spying on me. Right. So I'm going to move that out to there. I want to grab this. Forget that, because you can see that is on the center. Center. Oh, bloody northern accent coming back again. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just I was dealing with a guy from Manchester earlier on, and I'm from just north of Manchester. And it was so easy to slip back into the old Lancashire Mancunian accent. And it is a very infectious accent. As cool as Manchester is at times, we are not on the centre line. So let's grab that edge. Vertex set. Actually, I'm going to leave it and we'll work on that in a bit. As cool as Manchester is, it is not as cool as people think it is. There's bits of it that are an absolute shithole and should be burnt to the ground. Although it has got a lot better since I moved away. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, me moving, I don't know. My family still, well, my brother and my cousins still live there. I have honestly no desire to move back whatsoever, but if I'm gonna be ill again, I'm probably gonna be forced to sell up and move, which is gonna suck. Right, so polygon extrude, we're gonna come back, only come back 10 mil. Let's go to the front. Oh, no, sorry. Let's go to the back. Let's grab these. So let's go for initially 2 round. Symmetry on, please. Let's grab that. We're going to remove those edges just to make life a little bit cleaner. Again, um, 10mm radius, I think. For no other reason than why not? 2 round. So I'm just going to grab these top edges and just move them up about 10mm. And the reason for that is when we lie it back 10 degrees, it will appear shorter. Now, you can argue that the angle that this picture's taken at is that the panel is potentially flat. I'm gonna agree with you if that's what you're arguing, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to prove it. So I think we went 5 or 6 round. I think 6 round here. "74 edges. What the frick? Oh, right, yeah. If we go on verts instead, grab that. That's 52, and there's 4 sets of them. So what's that? 25, 26. It's 13 rounds. I'm happy with that. 13 verts. Don't think that looks too bad. So if we, excuse me, we bring back our frame, that's sitting just inside the panels. And if we bring back our pilots, his eye line is roughly in the center of that ball anyway, so I'm cool with that. So let's turn the pilot off. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to release it, so let's undo that. What I'm aiming for, there we go, is that. So again, unwrapping that. So I'm going to take off these edges. I don't want the top edge. Go to the right hand side. Turn symmetry off. Damn you, keep forgetting to go change back to the right tool. Right, so I've just taken the back edges, the back face off of that. Because again, what we're going to do, what we're going to need to do, because all of this is changed. So that is all, it's shit the bed, it's the wrong thing. So I'm going to grab this. I am going to move it back down here. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to move that back, angle it back 10 degrees. Yeah, I don't need these side panels at all. So symmetry. Let's grab these edges out. Right, so let's extend that up. And monitors are about to just shut themselves off. Excuse me. If that sounded horrible through the mic, I do apologise. I just desperately needed a drink before I was going to cough. So I don't know what's worse, listening to me take a drink or me cough at full volume down the mic. Ooh, that's a mess. Look at that. That's the joy of symmetry there. Let's turn that off. Right. Let's do that again. So again, I'm just trying to parallel the shape and the line that I've already got, or I already made. So let's release that, grab those. I'm going to cut that away and bring that into another. Oh, I didn't take all the faces there. I'm going to put this back into another. I'm going to keep saying LOD or layer, but it's another mesh object. So I treat these like layers. I come from a CAD background, so everything's layers. So again, what we did earlier today was literally got a polygon, thicken. I'm going to go 15 mil. It was 17.5 the last thickening operation I did. So don't know which that one was. So again, grab those, don't want them. So go to the right view. Sorry, perspective, edge, just grab that edge. probably could have scaled it, but given little bits of what I've seen in the Huey model now as well, kind of want to redo some of this. Alright, let's extrude. Oh, come on. Extrude the line out. So, bevel, I'm going to go 1 round. Is it 6? So that's just going to smooth that edge off. Smeggin' L. Snap off. Extend. And the last time I did this, we had a little bit of an issue with flat edges, which we're going to have again. Shit. So I'm just get off. Just going to extend the face out here so I can get a work plane that is on the scale of what I actually want. So if I go to side view again, I can just scale this. It just gives me a guide to snap that's accurate for that angle, so I can just go around, grab all of that, and when I cut that away, everything is in the right plane then. So when I go on here, let's go to the right side. Excuse me. Yeah, I can see the logic and the scale on this, because you want to see as much out of that window as possible. So you wouldn't want to go all the way over. Hindsight's great like that. So let's go on to the right view. Just to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to change the angle of that. Snapping. again, make life a little bit easier to see what I'm actually doing. So I'm going to grab these edges. Actually turn symmetry on so I don't have to do it twice. Move that over there. Because of the way that the tapering to fillet works, it's not going to be the exact thickness, so there is a little bit of as your father needed. So if you look down here, there's 4 verts, there's 2 either side, so geometry vertex merge. So again, so going off the UH1, it was literally let's see, shit, sorry, let's do this. I need to do this a different way. Because of the way that the tool works, it's easier to do bevels like this first. That did not go how I was expecting it to go. Which means there it is, that's a problem. Bloody hell. Oh, that did actually join it, which is just a bit surreal. So let's try and average those. Because of the way that the bevel works, it's easier to do it like this, on on the infill of the line. Again, issue down here. Two verts, 2 verts. Oh, because it's not closed down there, you bloody idiot. No, I'm fine with that actually. Let's do that. Bevel, alright. So, we're going to do 10 mil. So now when I come to do this, and just do, oh. I was expecting that to do a full round for me, but it didn't do it. So if I'd have beveled that with that sharp edge, it would have done like a sharp fillet on this edge here. Now it will actually follow the curve around and should be a much nicer blend. So again, order of operations. Just know what your tool can do and how it does it, or how it behaves under certain circumstances, and adapt. So again, I started saying this earlier. Huey, when we looked at the combing before, had a a very basic round level, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I was expecting it to be a lot smoother given how it looks, but it shouldn't be that much of a surprise given that it's also a baked texture. So that's 2 round, and that adds 146 edges. Actually, no, that adds quite a bit of polys, not edges. Geometry, vertex merge. So just to check to see whether or not everything's merged. So that should give us 2 verts. That gives us 2, so it has actually merged that edge. Geometry, vertex, merge. Nice cleanup. So let's go to back view. Let's turn that old one off. You can see a bit of a distortion there. That will probably kick out alright when it triangulates. So quick UV and it's showing there's some issues. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 4 edges. That's right. So if I break this selection down and just go half on, half off. So that half is unwrapped reasonably well. So is that, but it's not identical or symmetrical. Which is not a problem at this point. Again, trying to do a quick, dirty unwrap. Just to make life easier to select stuff later. So let's done that. That's our new panel, which also needs to be painted done. So you can see the distortions on there are caused by the cuts that I put in, just to give me a center point. I'm a little bit, well, I'm not a little bit, I'm actually much happier, much more confident that we're getting closer to something that's right. And it's only taken, what, an hour and 35 minutes, so 36 minutes. Well, we did make a CD here as well, so I'm forgiving myself for that. I am going to grab, actually, I'm going to leave that. I was going to pinch it in, but I'm going to leave it, I think. I can always pinch it in later if I need to. But again, I was looking at the Airfix instructions earlier. And if we... You can see it literally squares that off there. And it's hidden on the front panel, so I'm going to leave that as is for the moment. It looks like it should be slightly narrower, but we might do a little bit of a chop, which could save us some polygons, but not overly stressed about it right now. So let's go back to the original job that I kind of came to do, which was make this pedestal, which might be, once we've done that, it might be after where we need to end for the moment anyway, because I am absolutely chin strapped right now. So I'm going to go right. On that work plane for a moment. Front. Because of the CDU being 10mm thick, I'm going to drop this 5mm. Because I want a little bit of overlap on the bottom of that. So turn the work plane off. So again, it's a space we talked about earlier on. So I kind of need to, well, I need to work out what I'm actually doing here. So that's just considering turning that, what's it off? That layer off. So if I thicken these, to 10mm, so that's 10 degrees down. Here, picture. So, thanks to the DZUS lines, we now know roughly what these holes are going to be, what the spacing of these holes is. Again, our lovely document here gives us a minimum size plate. So that's a typical, I guess, what we'd call 1U in server world sort of piece. So I'm going to guess that it's double height of that. That looks like a regular spacing. So I'm purely guessing. So what I want is I'm going to grab that face, grab that, just to make life easier and stop faffing around. Turn that back, that's 10 degrees again. Let's go to the top. Oops. Right. So ref DZUS rail. So I'm just going to move wherever that is over here. So it's 66.675 mil. So edge extend. Minus 66.675. Let's grab that polygon. Oh. X. See. Alright. That was convenient. Bugger. Right. There we go. So we can assume that so essentially we have that panel like that. So looking at this, it's double height. So I am going to grab these two pieces, these two bits, and that face, copy and paste, turn the DZUS off, and I move from that center to that center, so that gives us the actual height. So if I turn off the cockpit frame, so we said 10 mil was the gapping between these, so let's move that back 10 mil. So I just check our picture now. So that takes us to the bottom of there. So that is literally the back edge of our first pedestal. Welcome to Reverse Engineering with Rock. Sire English. You know, after watching these become a lot more understandable once the tunes turn, the lines turn to full objects. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I am trying my best. It's just easier for me to do lines at first, and it takes a bit more time to explain, and I am trying to burn through quite a bit here. I hadn't noticed you commented earlier on. Right, that's completely thrown me from what I was gonna do. I just realised it was a comment and not a warning. Right, so that gives us a short pedestal. I guess it's going to be just as quick to blow these out as well, because I'm guessing the offset there is actually because of height, not positional difference. So let's copy this and go from there to there. move this to somewhere I can actually see it. Right, so from that is literally 3 panels. So we're going to grab that face, that, copy, paste, and move that one up. So that doesn't quite look right to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, that should be halfway up that CD, which means that is probably the spacing needs to change. Which might actually explain, maybe we've just gone up 1. So if we go from there to there, so unselect these, go from there to there. Hang on. Helps if you actually select in the right place, doesn't it? Right, so those are gash. Don't know why I'm doing that. I'm wasting my time. Copy that. That's copy, paste. Fluffy bunnies. Getting tired. Right, copy, paste. So just balls or something. Right. If at first you don't succeed, fuck it. So that edge should, he says, come up to that. So that next one up, so looking at the picture, that top edge is literally on par with that second button, but we don't have buttons on these, so let's go and get the CDU. And put it where it should be. So that gives us an aim point for the buttons. So copy, paste, grab that top edge, move that forward. So bingo, right. So we've got one too many. So that top edge there is good. The bottom edge is good. So somewhere in here we have a bit of a problem. So grab those. Let's go back. 1, 2. So I'm actually starting to think that actually might be it. Bear in mind we are upside down at the minute. Don't know whether it's going to be easier to view this from the bottom, and no, it's not. So is there a rotate on this? I don't remember. Doesn't really matter, but so yeah, just as long as you remember what's on in Modo is actually upside down. So that second from the top, which is going to be second from the bottom, is at the bottom edge there. So I'm going to argue that that's pretty damn close. So let's look at these other things. So I'm not going to bother with the instrumentation at the top at the moment. Not going to bother with these two bits. I'm just focusing on the DZUS panels. So let's do a little bit of something here. Duplicate. So, and it is a 2-notch panel. So let's go and grab that over there. I'm gonna grab a pair of these. Copy. Oh. Copy, paste. Right, so I'm going to call that good. So the next one, so we've just done this one. So that next one, 10mm gap, and then up. Let's grab that. So that's 76.203. So we're going to move that 86 instead. So that finishes just below that one. So if I grab that, that should be right. And the top one should be a 4-panel, a 4 bolt. That's 180.978 whatever. That's going to be 190, which takes us to that top edge, which I think looking at that is just slightly behind that top edge, which looks to be about 5, maybe 6 mil from the edge, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm comfortable with that being the right panel size. So coming back to this next panel, that's too wide and goes almost all the way back. So if we grab this, so copy, paste that. So I'm going to take this edge, I'm going to snap it to the center, 0 those. I'm now going to move it 5 mil right, which will give us the 10 mil spacing that we've been talking about. Geometry, duplicate, mirror. So I've lost me bloody picture. So again, short panel. Actually, that's a single. Okay. So I'm guessing that a single, looking at that, is essentially, come on, out my way. Smooth that one up. Right, I am guessing that single is that. Based on, so 1 space, 1, and that'll be 2 below, so I'm guessing that's that. So if I cut and grab those, grab this, so I need to move that. So it needs to go back 48. This is a double. So copy, paste. So that gives us that. So that's our double panel. This is a, I was going to say, I thought that was a radio, but maybe it's not. This is normally, they say that's radio. So I don't know what that is now. So that's a double. That's a double, but a different height. and paste that in. Double. See, that's a custom. Has to be. I'm not saying that it's well, it is non-standard sort of dimensional, but I guess you can make your own shit up when you make your own avionics, and this system is, like, as I said before, very much like 19-inch racking. You can do what you like with it. Right, so first set of fasteners, I'm going to come back 10 mil. So this is where we are, those two. Offset 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it repeats. So if I do that, so that's 2. Oh. So that's 4. Copy and paste that. Right, I've screwed up here somewhere then. Because that bottom edge there needs to be 1 down. So I need to go to that. So the easiest way to do this now is just get rid of that face. Grab that edge. If anyone knows what these panels are, please let me know. I've got a Seaking manual somewhere, but again, it's all changes depending on the model. So, I wish these were all the bloody same standard units. So yeah, I'm guessing that looks like a double panel there. Where am I? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I guess. So that's 2, that's 3. 4. Right, so I am purely guessing with this one. 2, 4, 6, 8, right, so that can go, that can go. So that is this panel. Have I just screwed that? See, proportionally, 100 of that's that's a 5 panel. So that needs moving up to there. So that becomes the center. That's looking a little bit more proportional. So I'm going to guess 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So that's this one. That looks like a transponder panel to me. God knows what that is. Lights, possibly. So that's 2 up. That's going to be a 3 gap in there. So that's 2 rebate. Gonna guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to move that edge 1 more up. Those get to move 1 more up as well. See, I can't see the back of that edge panel there, but so this should be a lighting panel. So this is these 4 switches here. And again, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to assume that's a 4 panel. I'm going to also assume that is the last panel in the set to give us the full depth back. So what I can do now is that box there is our overhead, so I don't want to mess with that because that is center line cap down. So this is what I'm after. I need to get rid of these faces for the moment. So I'm just going to grab that edge, I'm going to set it to 0, and I am going to grab that edge, when I work out why that has got more, top. So where's my image gone again? Right, so that's all on the bleeding edge there, which means this can go 200. And it can go from here. Again, I'm going to assume it's sat on the absolute edge. Dear me. And I'm going to move forward 10 mil. Just to give us some breathing space. Because all of this I want to grab those. So -10. Let's come up 10 mil. Grab that. So from what I remember, this is also angled. At about 5 degrees. But I need to confirm that. I need to finish these panels on the other side as well, but it's coming up to it's 2 hours 20 now. And I need a little bit of a comfort break. So what I think I'm going to do is finish this pedestal object, which is kind of what I wanted to do today. And then I'll address all of that later. So what I want to do, it's probably going to be easier to see if I just grab bugger. I've taken it all off the fucking center line. See, that's not on the center line either. Right, you're still on the center line, so I can grab you, bring you up to here, which should be the center. Right. So what I was going to do is grab both these bottom faces. Let's just merge this back into one because it's going to make my life so much easier. Right, both these bottom faces. And I'm just going to go polygon, extrude, and I'm going to extrude them straight down. And before I forget about it, I'm just going to take those bottom edges, bottom faces off. So I need my working cockpit frame. Edges. Right, so as I said, earlier on the other day, whatever, there's a step between the back of the cockpit here and the panel, so that's worked out perfect. Again, I keep talking about finding something that you find size of and scale from that, and that will make life a lot easier. Excuse me, just farted. Not that you need to know that. I don't know whether you heard it or not, but I just thought I'd share and pardon myself, or try and pardon myself. Anyway, yeah. So if you have a known object that you can get the size of, scaling everything suddenly becomes a lot easier. So the DZUS rail, the CDU, it all makes life like that little bit easier. So I am a lot happier. My tisms are a little bit more comfortable. Let's just clean up some of this. Right, so we need... I'm going to extrude this back. So on the real thing, there is like a frame that comes up under here. You can see it. I think it's this one. I saw it earlier. It's clear as day. Anyway, there's that panel line there is literally the bottom of the display. I don't know how well that actually comes out. Bottom of the control panel. There's a frame that comes up and supports it underneath, and then behind that is literally a vertical panel, which is the continuation of this up into that just literally comes up and just covers everything. So what I am going to do is do a bit of a bodge. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to come up to the back of there. I'm going to grab that. And we're going to go right up to the sky. Starting to sound like my brother when he starts being very patronising, so I do apologise. Rightio. So I am going to turn off. So I need the working cockpit frame. So I don't need that. So I'm going to go geometry, boolean, solid drill, slice. And let's cut away. Oh. Yeah, okay. That didn't exactly slice how I was expecting it to. So let's do a little bit more slicey. So I can actually just come straight across thinking about that, because everything up there we're not going to need. And now if I triangulate that, I should be able to just grab those back faces. That's not an issue anymore. So that can go, that can go. unwrapping that should... Yep. It looks like, yeah, I've fucked up, but it's not the end of the world. I left the CDU on, and it's cut through. um, so if I just grab these and pull them out of that layer, and just go into that new one, and go into solid or into default. So yeah, I've cut some holes in there that I didn't intend to cut, which, while is a bit annoying, is not the end of the world. Right, so that bottom face we can get rid of, don't need it. So we now have that panel. So I'm going to call that pedestals. That is the new combing. That is the pedestal panel layout. I don't like nesting stuff really, but I'm, at least not at this stage, but it does pay to be a bit tidier. So I guess we can do that. So they're working panels, so you can see the size difference and actually the shape. My second attempt was obviously, I think, much better looking. So I'm gonna ditch this because there's no point in trying to keep it. So let's get rid of all of that. Right, so I think at that point, I'm going to call it for today because it's literally, it's going to be, what, 4.5 hours of work today, and my eyes are starting to go. I could do with a bit of a break from the screens. So we've still got a bit of work to do. I think I've just ballsed up as well somewhere, because I think I've... Oh, there we go. I thought I'd taken the overhead out. So yeah, I need to be able to match that overhead with some reference pics. I need to finish off that little pedestal panel, but it's given us a more proportional guide to sort of dimensions and size. Quite happy with how that's working out. What I'm going to try and do tomorrow is again mark out the display, the main panel in the same way that I've done it now. I might try and do a little bit of trickery tomorrow, which requires Photoshop skills. So what I'll do is essentially the trick to it is to take to unwrap that panel, which we can easily do, project from view on the flat plane. I can then export the EPS, which is the lines to it, the sort of the line UV layout into an EPS. Open that in Photoshop, and what I can then do is we can make that a texture, and I can then stretch or adjust a photo so it fits that, so we can then work out how to cluster the instruments properly. I can then either cut or draw the instruments in place. So again, I was going to kind of do some of that offline, but I think that's probably more interesting for you to see than anything else. It's more useful as a technique. And then we'll come back to making instruments and things like that, and continue blocking out the rest of it. Trying not to keep showing you repetitive stuff. I will be doing some stuff offline. I still want to come back and cut the windows, but I need to finish the cockpit frame, so I'm going to do the cockpit frame offline. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep jumping back into doing new bits online. That way, the original plan was to do everything online, warts and all, but from feedback from others, they don't need to see or don't want to see every single bit of cut and every single one step forward, two steps back. They're more interested in seeing how I've done new bits or how I would approach certain problems. So anything that's kind of repetitive, like cutting windows out, things like that, probably going to do offline, but I want to show at least one of everything. So that's it, that's the plan. I'm going to call it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope it's been useful. Hope it's been a little bit entertaining. It's a humbling experience for me to do it live. But like I say, just trying to have some fun and trying to show and help. And hopefully it does both. So, excuse me. I need a nap. So, thank you very much. And I'm going to bugger off. Have fun. See you later.